Someone has to explain to me why I'm still reading these books. I think this is the final book. That's it. I'm over. I'm done. I am so done. Oh, good God. Hey, this is the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, no fancy smancy stuff going on here. And so this is book 3 in the series. And how I got to book 3, I don't know. Oh, actually, I do know. I was waiting. I was out of stuff to read. I was waiting for some books to be delivered. And while I had that small amount of time for the books to be delivered, this pile was over there and I picked it up. And to tell you the truth, I was in an audiobook mood. And I couldn't find it on any website to do the audio with. And then I wanted to, my last resort was going to check Audible, and my tablet kept freezing. Audible would not open. And I was like, screw this SHIT. I was just over it. Are you coming here? Are you coming? Where is you? You was here a minute ago. There you is. All right, my co-host is circling me. She'll be here eventually. But anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah. Past due for murder. And I have no idea what the title has to do with the effing story. But just. All right, first of all, so I couldn't get the audiobook, and I was really in an audiobook mood. Then, there are parts of this book which I think just go on too long. On the other hand, if I had written this book, these parts probably would have been 20 or 30 pages longer. So it's kind of hypocritical because I thoroughly, absolutely enjoy the history, genealogical history, ancestral history, history of the neighborhood. I enjoy all that stuff. I enjoy it immensely. Could not stand this book. All right. And my other, and I hate, right. I like my mystery. I like my whodunit. But I hate a heroine who appears. To me, maybe not to you. Maybe if you read the book, you'll be different about it. But to me, she's gullible. I can't stand her. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm putting this book down. So, we have this hypothetical fairy stuff going around, and the whole history of fairies. Come here, my girlfriend's here. So we have this whole history of fairies, and this lady is telling the story about fairies, and your whole life story is flashing to everybody. So, and then Amy's ex-boyfriend Charles shows up. And normally I would go through the characterizations, but it really doesn't. It's just. So Amy's a librarian. And her boyfriend is a ballerina. And excuse me, I still haven't looked up all this time. It's been a couple weeks. If there's a male term for ballerina for a guy. I don't know. I haven't looked it up, so forgive me. But a librarian and a ballerina in West Virginia. All right, it's not West Virginia, but it just, usually the boyfriend is a cop or somebody, a lawyer or somebody who can help her with, but a ballerina? And, so she digs into this lady gets killed at the beginning of somewhere in the book. And she starts digging into the history of the situation. And it's all really interesting. The history of these two girls, the history of missing gold, the history of this, the history of that. And so that's like one side of it. But the relationship angst really took grab me. I couldn't get past it. It was driving me absolutely bonkers. So like he goes to a party that his parents are giving for him. He doesn't take Amy. He has an encounter with a female and doesn't tell Amy. Amy finds out later. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? What? What's up? So, uh, and then the parents come to town, both says his and hers. I don't know why the hell I thought hers were dead. It was my mistake. So anyway, the parents come to town, and it's obvious that his father, Richard's father, the boyfriend, doesn't like the fact that he's a ballerina because he will get to a certain age where he won't be able to perform. He won't be, you get older, stuff happens. And you can't be a ballerina at 15, 16, 70 years old. It just doesn't work that way. So, yes, ma'am. You are mushy today. So there's stuff there. And she learns this information about him seeing this other woman and him not telling him. And the page 199. I love you, Richard. It's good to hear. That's his response. That's his effing response. It's good to hear. What the F? It's good to hear. And then there's a couple of potentially romantic situations, and he turns her down. And he avoids her. And Richard has become irritating as all hell. I can't stand the guy. It's irritating the life out of me. That he's lying to her, that he's doing all these things without her, that he's not including her in some stuff. He's not upfront. And she's been through this before. Charles dated her and dated another woman at the same time, and then he dumped her publicly, and then he got together with somebody who had a tragic accident, and then he's dating two other women at the same. And there's all this stuff going on. There's all this relationship angst. And I'm telling you, the relationship angst took front and center over the mystery. And my hatred or despise for Richard grew as the story went on. It's good to hear. And he brings her home from the hospital, and she's like, she was scared to go rest, but let's go snuggle, and he avoids her. There's all of these little, I'm sorry to be nitpicking, but it was just like, it's good to hear. So then we have Charles, and she's visiting Charles quite often, questioning him about situations. And it turns out that these two young ladies, many 50, 60, 70 years ago, were gonna run away together. They were in love. Their parents needed them to marry these people for land, for water. One of them was water, something like that. They needed the family connections. They needed these marriages done. Like in the old Regency days where I need the dowry, so I'm gonna marry your daughter for the dowry, or I need you for the land, or whatever. It was an arranged marriage. There was no love involved. But these two girls were in love with each other, and they wanted to run off. And that bothered the family tremendously. And they had gold. And the girls ran off together, but it was a stormy night. They got locked in a cabin. and someone knew where they were, and someone killed them, and the gold was hidden, and they did not reveal where the gold was before the dam. The gold is found at the end of this book, the very end, and the whole situation explained. There's a lot of historical information in here. It's interesting. It's interesting. There's a lot of genealogical information in here, which is interesting. I'm a genealogist. I love history. I love history. I watch too many of those history YouTube videos. But anyways, but the who killed Mona, Charles was her ex-boyfriend, was accused of plagiarism. Mona was trying to sue him, and Charles had a good defense. And then this other lady goes missing, and she's doing research into this thing and the fairy mound and the whole 9 yards. The whole mystery, as as layered as it was, and like I said, sort of hypocritically of me, that I probably would have had the historical stuff go on way too long. I mean, as a reader, it went on way too long as it was, but if I had been I probably would have done it an extra 20 or 30 pages. So that's a little hypocritical of me to do that. However, my angst over Richard and my growing hatred for the guy outweighed the whole story. It outweighed the whole story. It outweighed any pleasure or any enjoyment I got from the story. Him going off to a party for him and not taking her, and him meeting up with a girl and not telling her, and him doing all this other stuff and not telling her, his parents' low opinion of his profession. A lot of parents feel that way. They always want their kids to be lawyers and doctors and whatever. So maybe ballerina's not one of their top choices. But they've got a point. At some point, he needs to have a backup career. Maybe teaching ballerina stuff. A lot of them do that. But he needs to have a backup for those older years. Because that's one of those careers where age matters. And physical ability matters. It's one of those careers. There's some that, but there's others like ballerina dancing or ice skating, although the older ones can do shows and stuff. They don't do competitions. But there were some gymnastics. There's some sports that when you hit 50 or 40, 50 or 60, some sports you're old at 40. But but by the time you're 50 and 60, yeah, they don't want you anymore. They want the 20-year-old. They want the 18-year-old. So I can see his parents' points on that. But, Richard my growing angst over him and his untrustworthiness and it's good to hear. Really, and, it just raised way too many flags for me. And I was thinking the author was thinking that they were gonna split. But the very last line of this book is, I was like, oh good God, no. I may peek at the next one just for my own, but I just can't. I will not be ready. I just can't. My angst. If this is gonna continue, if our relationship with him is gonna continue, I'm over it, because it just overrode the whole story, and it's my own fault that I can't get past the ballerina stuff. But I've got another one over here. I've got 3 series over here that I've only 2 books apiece, and I was hesitant to but one of them is by one of my authors. It's a new one I didn't know about. I discovered it when I was doing Flashback Monday new releases. Um so I'm going to check it out. It's a thriller. So I may do one of the other ones first and then do that, cuz it's hopefully it'll be ongoing. There's a new one coming out this month, I think. But anyways, I just the angst, the stuff with Richard just irked me to no end, and that just killed the series for me. Just royally killed the series for me. There's just no way. And if the author pursues the relationship, I just it's good to know. Really? Seriously. I ain't kidding. It's good to know. And you want me to buy this relationship? I can't. Him going away and all that stuff I mentioned before. I just can't. I'm over it. I'm done. That 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 just bought it for me. So, past due for murder. Enjoy. Oh, and don't forget Star Trek recaps on Fridays and Voyager recaps on Fridays. JD Rob on Saturdays, unboxing on Sundays, and or ARC extravaganza, flashback Mondays, and of course my daily book reviews. And at 7:45 p.m. every single night, we're talking Outlander. Have a good one.